all sorts of great stuff that I just instantly posted on my Instagram and Twitter. So, and I say, what's your name or your handle so I can credit you and everything. And everyone's just been so wonderful. You know, we're going to be jam-packing the luggage to make it fit, you know. Like, I got cool little gifts and everything. Like, yay! You guys are so awesome.
You guys have been awesome. Like, really.
Yes.
We do a lot of cons, and you guys have been awesome. As a Texan, great crowd. You guys are awesome.
I had no horror stories from this con. It was great. You guys are awesome. Aww, we love you guys. We love you.
Volunteers have been awesome too.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
those are great.
Thank your staff and volunteers before you go today, because they're the reason you guys have a good time.
Is there a girl here right now? I know there's a girl here right now, but is there a girl here right now that is dressed as steampunk that yesterday was dressed as Harley Quinn?
Her name's Elia.
Elia, thank you. Is Elia here? Elia? I know you're shy. Are you here? Anyway, Elia was amazing too. She was giving gifts and just donating to the charity like crazy. So she was absolutely wonderful. You've all been absolutely wonderful, but just like things are sticking out in my mind. It's just like being a really, really positive experience. In this lovely little town you call Corpus Christi.
Yeah.
It's a horrifying sounding town.
Should we take some questions?
Yeah.
Yes. Turn it into like a real panel.
I like that.
Yeah, like a Q&A. You guys have questions?
Because we have answers.
We do. They're not the right ones, but we have answers.
Is there a mic? Is there a mic?
Do we have a mic?
Audience?
Sure. Yeah.
Take Steve, he runs around with the wires.
We can share.
Bogart and Wire.
Yeah, I just said skip it one.
You did.
Cool, yes, I meant to. Thanks. Okay, hands up. All right, guys. Questions, maybe? Yes, Jim?
Have you guys ever had any hotel horror stories where fans have found your hotel rooms? Because I saw Michael Light, we're all walking out of the hotel I work at.
I got one from the last con I was in, and it was one of those like I would have been mad about it, but it gave me, I knew that I would be asked this question, and I was okay with it. Okay, so I was going into Eric Spale's room, and like we were gonna go get dinner, and I was like, hey man, cool, I'm gonna go get my bag, so I'm gonna go to my room. So I left, and like as we were talking in the doorway, I see this guy kind of like peek over and look at me, and I'm like, oh crap, we've been spotted. And so we're just like, it's cool, no, it's fine. But he was doing that thing where he's like not going in his room and trying to like look out of the side of his eye, and I was like, oh, okay. So I walked to the elevator, and I pressed the button, and I hear, and the guy like ran up behind me. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm on my phone, text messages. And I get in the room, I get in the elevator, and he gets in and proceeds to do the nastiest fart I've ever smelled in my life, and then pushes the button for the next floor and then runs off. And when he leaves the room, the elevator goes, woo-hoo-hoo, and then runs out. And I knew what room he was staying in because it was the one next to Eric's. And all I wanted to do was go, did you just fart? That was awesome. But I had stuff to do, so I went away, but he bombed me, and it was amazing. It was so bad that like, we had to get out of the elevator, and then we heard ding, it close, and then go down a floor, and then open, and from a floor down we heard, oh Jesus! We could hear it happening floor by floor, because it lingered. This is the last con I was at, it was awesome.
So that's two things I'm going to do with you at every con now. I'm going to write all this down. This was probably about 6 months ago. I was at a con, and trying to sleep is about 2 o'clock in the morning, and there was a cosplay room across from my hotel room where there were about 20, 25 people sleeping in there. And there, the doors opening and closing all night. People were changing costumes and whatever. And it was just really loud because I was trying to do auditions in my room. And I put up with it for the night. The next morning, I see the cleaning lady standing outside sobbing. And I said, what's the matter though, on Sunday morning? And they had all checked out. And she goes, I couldn't even get into the room last night, and I'm afraid to go in right now. And she went that morning, the morning before, trying to clean the room, and she couldn't even open the door because there was so much garbage piled up in front of the door from all the people sleeping in there and whatever. And she was terrified that she actually had to walk into that room because she was afraid of what she would find. And the smell coming out of there was just ungodly. So if you've got 25 friends sleeping in your room, make a better choice next time. Yeah.
And tip the people.
Yes.
Like when
Yeah,
you leave
that's a good
hotels,
one.
tip. They're
Always
working,
tip
they're
the-
cleaning up
yeah.
after you. Give them a tip.
Well, someone had to put their credit card down for incidentals, so if there's any damage to the room or excessive uncleanliness, someone's going to pay for that, hopefully.
No amount of money could have covered this.
Really? It's like Guns N' Roses came in there.
Yeah, we're gonna have to peel the paint off the walls and start over. Yeah. How about another question on a happy side?
Really brought the room down on that one, Steve. Turned crime scene.
You can count on me.
Horatio's there.
Crime tape Steve.
Who has another question?
Oh, we do over
Who
here?
was it?
Yes.
Have you had any drunk horror stories?
Drunk?
Yeah.
One's happening right now. You're watching it.
Cassidy's.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you weren't there yet. You didn't get in yet, but Eric and I went to an Irish bar. They called Cassidy's down the street, and we weren't shit-faced, but lots of people were. And there was a dude riding by on his bike, and they pushed him off his bike, and it was like 3-on-1, and we're like, hey, what's going on? And they threw the bike into the middle of the street, and then apparently this guy, there was like all kinds of yelling and pushing and hitting going on, and apparently this guy, allegedly, was robbing people at knife point in that area, like, all damn day, in, like, the parking lot and stuff. And it's like, that's the fucking guy that mugged me earlier, and they pushed him off his bike and, like, kind of ran him out of town, like, you know. They didn't beat him down or anything, but this guy was pretty thuggy, and so we were like, that was our first night here, and I was like, wow. It's like Deadwood up in this motherfucker.
Welcome to Corpus.
No. Anybody else?
Okay, what was the coolest thing someone gave you at a convention?
Coolest thing someone did what now?
Gave you at the
Oh,
convention?
gave us.
Yeah.
Coolest thing someone gave you at a convention.
Gonorrhea. That's not cool at all.
I thought that feels hot.
It's so hot.
Ow.
Why is it so hot?
The coolest thing somebody gave me was a story, actually. Years ago in New Zealand, there was this guy, I tell this story at a lot of conventions, but I wanted to share it with you guys because you don't pay attention to anything I do, I'm sure. This guy came up to me in New Zealand, and he was a big dude. He looked like a big Samoan dude, tattoos all over him, a little intimidating. He came up to my autograph line, and he told me that he had a little boy who was nonverbal, on the spectrum, and he would just sit and rock in the corner. And one day, all of a sudden, he bolts up, sits on the couch, and he's watching TV. There was some show that came on, and the father had never seen him do this before. He'd never seen him react like that before. And it turned out to be Digimon. And it was one of my characters that was on there, the little boy related to. He was about 8 years old at the time. And the father said, what are you doing? And the little boy goes, shh. And it was the first time he'd ever really responded, especially in such an aggressive way. And the show ends, it goes to commercial. And the little boy looks over at the father and speaks in perfect English and goes, I like that, Daddy. And the guy goes, whoa, what? You know English? And he apparently had been processing all of this stuff for years and years and years and just hadn't found the right connection to be able to articulate it. And so something unlocked in his brain, and after that, the family started watching the show every day when it came on together, and they started having conversations together, and it really opened up this little child's life. And then he found other kids online who, his parents would monitor his behavior there, but he started having conversations with other like-minded kids who loved the same stuff that he loved. And the next day, the father shows up with a little boy who's now about 12 years old at this time, and the sister and the mother, and they're standing like 20 people back in my autograph line, and I stood up and I see them, and I came around my table, and we all just stood there and hugged and cried together. Because now the father said for the first time, his son feels like he has a place in the world. And it gave me the realization that what we're doing actually affects people out there, and that we're all one big family in all of this. And no matter where you are on any spectrum, everybody's accepted at conventions. And that was the greatest gift that anybody had given me. It changed my life, and it made me want to go to conventions and have conversations with you guys. So thank you guys for that.
Just drop the mic, man. Walk off. You're done.
No, I took a big dump in the room about 25 minutes ago, so I thought bring it back up.
Just,
no, that's a true story, and it really changed everything for me.
That is amazing. Yeah, that's gorgeous. Speechless.
As a parent of a kid with a spectrum disorder, I want to say thank you.
As an autistic fan, I'd like to thank you as well.
Thank you. To echo what Steve was saying, the fandom community here, this is a place where everyone truly belongs. You know, if you feel like an outcast, or, you know, wherever at your job, at school, and whatnot, and if for at least, you know, one weekend, or if you go to other cons, several weekends a year, you can just relax and be yourself and be surrounded by other people who have endured the same sort of outcast thing before, and that sense of love and community and everything has been so wonderful, and such a huge icing on the cake for what we do. When we're in the booth, we're isolated from the world, and you know, we just, great, moving on, and then it comes out.